It is Friday morning, and that means it's time for the first federal program. And you know, Todd, I gotta say, compared to yesterday, it is a beautiful morning. It was 38 degrees at this time yesterday.
A little rainy, pre-Halloween, but that's okay. It's gonna stop later today and clear up for Halloween, hopefully. So yes, it is a beautiful day. It's always a beautiful day in Rochester, Indiana, right?
Always.
Thank you. Welcome all our listeners today. Our special guest is Jenny Shaw. She's gonna be talking about Hope for Hurting Hearts.
Yep.
Jenny is a great first federal employee. She's involved in a great program, and we're going to share some very valuable and beneficial information later this morning. And thank you, Jenny, for joining us. We're glad you're here. Tanner's manning the camera today. He'll be chipping in also. So we've got a great show planned today. Thank you, everyone, for listening in this morning. Of course, our lead story is about Halloween today. Excited for Halloween?
Yes, I am. I am almost completely dressed and ready for Boo Fest, too.
Moose has a tie on for those radio listeners out there.
Yeah, I know.
He's ready for Boo Fest.
It's crazy.
Boo Fest is today from 4:30 to 5:30 on Main Street. So that's a downtown partnership sponsoring that. Tanner, you're involved with downtown partnership. Anything you want to add for Boo Fest?
It is happening no matter what, rain or shine tonight. So
well, it's going to be maybe not shining, but the rain will be holding off. Hopefully.
That's the hope.
And umbrellas and rain jackets are welcome. No problem at all.
A lot of businesses are going to be out, and as long as it's not pouring down rain, they'll have tables outside their businesses and plenty of candy to hand out. And if it is raining too hard, you'll just have to go into that business and get the candy.
That explains why Paul has a tie on. He's going to be dressed up, handing out candy out in front of WROI, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we got the awning, so even if it is pouring, we'll be out there.
Right, there are some businesses that have the awnings.
So that's 4:30 to 5:30 today on Main Street. There's going to be certain entry gates and follow the footsteps around. I think I heard on the newscast earlier, clockwise, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Clockwise.
Are they bloody footprints or just footprints?
I haven't seen them, so I couldn't
Okay.
tell
The
you.
kids a bit, Paul. So
Yeah.
it's probably not.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably not bloody footprints, but
you know.
So other trick-or-treating is going on this weekend. Akron, their hours are tomorrow night from 6 to 8 p.m. Kiwanis is Sunday from 5 to 7. And Rochester's is Sunday from 5 to 7. So lots of opportunity to be out trick-or-treating. If you're out and about then, be extremely cautious. You know, have your lights on, drive slowly. It's starting to get darker sooner, and just watch out for the kiddos and keep everyone safe.
And remember, cross at corners, cross the street at the corners, not in between parked cars.
Yeah. So if you're out driving around, just be extra cautious and keep everybody safe for hopefully a great Halloween weekend.
Oh, I think it's going to be a great Halloween weekend.
You going out, Tanner, dressing up at all?
I am tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm going with my girlfriend to a Halloween party. We're going as a couple's costume. So.
Okay.
Yeah. My daughter is going to a Halloween party this weekend, and she's Ted Lasso, and her fiance is Coach Peter.
That's good. I like that. That's good.
So it'll be interesting to see them. I'll see pictures of them. So we have some tech talk today. Facebook is changing its name to Meta.
Meta.
M-E-T-A. Some say this is an effort for Facebook to basically change its image now that there's been a lot of negative news about this. I think the choice of Meta is really interesting. Facebook says they're going to use the term metaverse is the next evolution of social connection. It's a collective project that will be created by people all over the world. They hope to have billions of people in this, open to everyone. We'll be able to socialize, learn, collaborate, and play in ways that go beyond what's possible today with Facebook.
Okay.
Some say this is really about Facebook trying to distance themselves from all the controversy.
I think that's more what it is.
I think the choice of Meta is very ironic in my mind. This is my own commentary. Metadata basically is the data that is behind data. So that's really what Facebook is. At least they're being honest now. They're calling it what it is. We have all this data on you. We're going to use it however we want to use it. You know?
Basically, yeah.
So that's interesting about, they're even changing their stock symbol. Talking about money news a little bit later. It's going from FB to MVRS, which must be Meta Universe, on December 1st. So that's kind of big news in the tech world.
Now is that when the name change is happening too, December 1st?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I saw something on the news last night, and they were showing the big unveiling of the sign. The problem was there were like 4 people standing in front of it. It seems like we got those people, hey, can you move over while we do this big unveiling?
Right.
The
you know,
meta symbol's kind of like an infinity symbol a little bit.
Yes.
A little abstract infinity symbol.
okay.
It's
So-
different.
That's some tech talk today. Other tech talk, there's a Japanese startup making a hover bike. I saw some video of it. It was on a racetrack. It'll go 60 miles an hour for 40 minutes.
Oh,
So if you want to add this to your Christmas list, it's only $680,000.
oh my!
680,000.
I think I could buy a Tesla for that.
Think you
But
probably
it looked just like, I saw the video, it looked just like those radio controlled cars we used to have, everybody had with the,
Yeah.
like the biker on it. So what they did is they just took that design and made it real. But I also think like the FAA is gonna have some say over this.
Oh,
like,
I'm sure.
a flying bike, like, they're not gonna let that happen over this.
No.
It's a, part of the uses of it could be to help search and rescue, like in dense areas, that the hover bike can hover in and settle down like into a forest. And
Okay.
I don't know if it become reality, maybe it's a concept, but it did show a person on the bike hovering around a racetrack.
All right.
That's tech news today.
Interesting.
Halloween trivia today.
Halloween tribute. Here we go.
News. According to the candy industry, what's the most popular Halloween candy in Indiana? A, Starburst, B, Reese's Cups, C, Sour Patch Kids, D, Skittles. Candy corn's not on that list, interesting.
No. No, good.
Big fan of candy corn?
No,
Me
no.
neither.
I don't know
no.
who is.
I,
Jenny, do you like candy corn?
I
Yeah,
like it if it's mixed in.
with peanuts
with
or M&Ms.
peanuts, M&Ms, like that mix,
Yeah.
the fall mix,
The
but
trail
on its
mix,
own,
yeah.
nope.
Nah.
So Starburst, Reese's Cups, Sour Patch Kids, or Skittles?
Okay.
It's kind of a difficult choice, I think. Let's see how you do today.
All right.
Sports news, Tanners. What's new in the sports news?
Yeah, I got a lot to report on this morning. Local sports still going strong right now. Want to give a big congratulations to Rochester High School's Madeline Calloway, who finished 10th last weekend in the semi-state and advanced to state. That's a huge accomplishment.
That's a great accomplishment when the state runners are really talented.
They are.
And most of them go on to college scholarships
Mhm.
and finishing in the top 10 is a great advancement.
Yeah, I know we've talked about in the past on this show that cross country is not a class sport. I mean,
No.
it's everybody against each other, so to be one of the best in the state,
One of the best of the best.
that's a great accomplishment. So congratulations to her and good luck tomorrow.
Yeah.
Got some local teams still playing football. Tippecanoe Valley improved their record to 10-0. They'll be hosting Mishawaka Marion tonight, who's got a record of 7-3. That should be a good one. Mishawaka Marion's usually pretty tough. So,
That's
but
a
go Valley.
rematch of last year's sectional semifinal I heard on WRI.
yeah, Marion got the best of them last year, but we'll see if Valley can advance to the sectional final for the first time in a while.
Go Valley.
You know what they're ranked, Valley? They're pretty high, aren't they?
I want to say 8th, maybe
Yeah.
7th or 8th.
I think so, that's what I heard.
In
That's
3A.
really
So,
Yeah.
Winamac, another team having a really good season. They improved to 8-0 last week. They're facing North Judson tonight, who's 7-3. Should be another good battle between two teams that are kind of familiar with each other over there.
Yeah.
And the Culver Cavaliers, they improved to 3-5 last week. They host South Central tonight, who's 5-3.
Okay.
So good luck to everybody involved tonight.
Yes.
Also want to give a shout out and good luck to a fellow 2010 Rochester High School graduate and a good friend of mine, Austin Faust. He's the coach of John Glenn. They won last week to improve to 5-4. They are on the road to Jimtown tonight, one of their conference rivals, who's 8-2.
The Jimtown's always a good football
Jimtown got
program.
the best of them earlier this year, 21-0. But hopefully, Coach Faust has some wrinkles in the game plan and made some adjustments. And he's had one of the better seasons John Glenn's seen in a while this year. So
Yeah.
hopefully he can advance to the sectional final.
It's always hard to come around the second time and beat the same team you
It
beat
is.
earlier in the year.
It is. So
And of course,
Doesn't come
before we get to next week's show, the Lady Zebras will kick off their basketball season.
I heard that yesterday morning
Yeah.
right here on WRI. And that's hard to wrap my mind around. That basketball's almost here, but college basketball teams, some of them have already began their exhibitions. If they haven't began, they start next week. So it's upon us.
And an interesting programming note for Thursday night's game, it'll actually be heard on WRY Country, our HD2 station.
There you go.
Because the Colts play that night as well, so we wanted to give both teams coverage, and with having two channels, we're able to do that
That's
now.
a great benefit.
That's
of
right.
that.
Thanks
Yeah.
WRI for keeping the local things happening. That's good, great news.
Absolutely.
Speaking of local, all local big college football teams are in action this weekend. Some of them definitely need a win more than others.
Yeah.
Indiana.
You mentioned that first. didn't you?
I'm just
Okay.
going to the order I always go with.
Okay.
Big margin loss to Ohio State last week, but Ohio State's rolling. They're going to put up a ton of points on anybody they
They
play.
could have put up 90 points.
Oh, they could have if they wanted to. They were just clicking on all cylinders. They got the 2-5 record. They traveled to Maryland, who's 4-3, but I think that record's a little skewed. Anytime Maryland plays anybody decent, they get beat. Maryland's 5.5 point favorite. That game's at noon on the Big Ten Network. My Purdue Boilermakers got pummeled, I'll say, by Wisconsin last week. That makes 15 straight times. I don't know if I'll ever see Purdue beat Wisconsin in my lifetime. I've just come to a conclusion with it. They're 4-3 now. They travel out to Nebraska, who's 3-5. Nebraska's a 7.5 point favorite. That game's at 3:30 on ESPN2.
And Nebraska's just kind of like, not sure what you're getting.
Yeah, it's week to week with them, and they're coming off a bye week, which kind of makes me a little nervous. So we'll see. And then Notre Dame won last week over USC. They moved up to 11th in the rankings. They're 6-1. They host 4-3 North Carolina, who's probably one of the most disappointing teams in the country. They had really high expectations and have already had 3 losses. Notre Dame's a 3.5 point favorite. That's another primetime night game on NBC tomorrow night at 7:30. So a lot of college football action going on. And for pro football, the Bears are looking to try to bounce back. 3-4 record. They host the 49ers Sunday at 1 o'clock on Fox. San Francisco lost to the Colts Sunday night. They have a record of 2-4, but they're 4-point favorites. And speaking of the Colts, they got that big win in the torrential downpour in San Francisco. They're now 3-4. They host the Tennessee Titans, who are 5-2. That game's 1 o'clock on CBS on Sunday, but the Colts are 2.5 point favorites. This was a pick'em game just a day or two ago.
I watched that game. They actually look like a pretty good team.
They just fought and clawed all game, and I thought they played better in San Francisco, so they deserved to win.
So catch that on WRI this weekend too.
Yep, pregame at noon and kickoff, like you said, 1 o'clock.
Got some tidbits here this morning. On this day in 1960, Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali, as he'd go by later on, in his first professional fight, he beat Tuni Hunsaker, I believe is how you pronounce the last name, on points in 6 rounds in Louisville, Kentucky.
Wow.
He went on to have a pretty good boxing
Yeah,
career.
just a little bit.
In 1960, because he was even boxing even in the late 70s.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Most people refer to him as the greatest of all time when it comes to boxing.
Oh, absolutely.
You got a few out there who might make a case for Floyd Mayweather, but
Looks like a butterfly. It seems like a bee,
exactly. Well said.
Yeah.
On this day in 1994, Pink Floyd finished their final concert tour at Earl's Court in London.
That was the Pink Floyd, without Roger Waters, of course. That was Pink Floyd fans out there.
Yeah.
And of course, without Sid Barrett too, because he retired earlier. So
Yes.
now I'm an official Pink Floyd geek.
I was gonna say, I think I have a Pink Floyd fan to my left here.
It was the Pink Floyd name, but not the band.
The brand, but not the original members.
By the way, which one's Pink?
I have no clue.
That's from the song.
Yes, I know.
Enough about Todd's geek.
Oh, I'm learning stuff. That's what I like. On this day in 2008, Delta Airlines merged with Northwest Airlines, creating the world's largest airline at the time, and reducing the number of U.S. legacy carriers to 5.
Okay.
I forgot Northwest Airlines was even a thing until I read this. On this day in 2012, publishing companies Penguin and Random House merged to form the world's largest publisher.
Okay.
So a lot of mergers going on this day in
Merger.
history.
And Northwest Airlines used to have one of the catchy jingles. I'm not going to sing it, but it
Oh,
was Northwest Orient Airlines. That's what the jingle would say.
I'll have to go look that up.
Yeah. YouTube's your friend.
It is my friend's second largest search engine in the world. And today is National Internet Day. We just said
Speaking of
YouTube.
the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's National Cat Day for all you cat lovers out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's National Bandana Day.
I don't have a bandana.
You have a cat?
No.
Jenny, do you have a cat?
I do have a cat.
We're celebrating Cat Day tonight.
I will celebrate with him tonight. Thank you for letting me know.
Yes, absolutely. So, that's all I got for the tidbits this morning.
Thank you,
You're
Tanner.
welcome.
Thanks, Tanner.
You're welcome.
Upcoming events. Did hear on WRI this morning that the Fulton County Historical Museum Haunted Trails
Yeah.
postponed this weekend, or canceled actually,
Yep.
due to river flooding.
Yeah, of all things.
So come into town tonight, do Boo Fest, do some trick or treating on Sunday night. It's a good way to celebrate.
Yep, we got a full list of area events up on our Facebook page.
Check out WRI's Facebook page for all those events. Other upcoming events, the 63rd Annual Rochester Kiwanis Club Turkey Dinner is Monday. Hard to believe, that's Monday, November 1st.
Yeah.
5 to 7 at the high school cafeteria. It will be carry out only. Assume there'll be people out directing like drive-through lines.
So, yeah.
Tickets are $10 available at the door, or ask a Kiwanis member.
Okay.
I think I know what I'm doing for lunch Monday night.
You mean dinner?
Dinner.
I mean, it could be lunch if you
Skip
still
lunch, I
lunch.
could have a late lunch.
You could buy 2 dinners. I've been there before. People buy multiple meals, and you'll save one for later in the week.
Yeah,
That's
it
where
could
my
be
mind was
Tuesday's
going.
lunch.
There we go.
Planning ahead. It's always a good fundraiser for Kiwanis. It's always a great turnout, and
Yeah.
encourage everybody to come out and get your turkey dinner appetite whetted before Thanksgiving later in the month in November. Hard to believe it's November 1st on Monday.
I know.
I have some flowers today. An anonymous donor donated $15,000 to the Times Theater to restore its marquee. So there's still lots of good things happening with Marquee Theater, and they're slow and steady, but they're making good progress.
Mhm.
Yeah. Slow and steady wins the race.
Money news today, Paul. Dow finished yesterday at 35,730, up a little over 200. Futures are slightly down today,
Okay.
but it's almost even, looked like, from
All right.
what I saw. The U.S. economy grew at a 2% annualized rate in the third quarter through September, missing the 2.8% that analysts were expecting. The disappointing reading came as consumer spending slowed to the spike in the COVID cases and supply chain bottlenecks. Seems like every day we're reading something more about some supply chain bottleneck and how it's really trickling down to impact almost everything.
Yep.
The good news, though, a separate report showed jobless claims fell to a pandemic-era low, so that's good news.
Good. Good to hear.
The supply chain disruptions, getting productions from plants and cargo ships to retail customers, is creating havoc. Car sales, for example, are way down because of microchip shortages. Still think there's about 7,000 Chevy GMC trucks parked in Kokomo waiting for chips. And many grocery stores now have shelves of empty produce and vegetables.
Mm.
Speaking of that, Fresh Del Monte Produce Inc. is raising food prices in response to unprecedented inflationary pressures felt because of the supply chain.
Yeah.
And it's, unfortunately, that's one of the impacts of that. These supply chain things are creating a little inflation, which all the economists are watching really closely to try to maintain control of that, and the Federal Reserve is. And
Yep.
it's interesting economic times now, but as Tanner repeats every time with the stock market, some stocks are going up, some are going down, and just stay in it for the long term, right?
Oh yeah.
First Federal Bank is open today from 8:30 to 5, and tomorrow from 8:30 to noon. You can always bank with us online. We do have Simply Free checking accounts. Today we want to highlight, starting November 1st, that's November 1st Monday, we'll be offering the end-of-year purchase special. For the purchase special for all sellable loans that are disclosed on or after November 1st through 12/31, First Federal will give a lender credit of $700 towards closing costs.
Okay.
So if you're buying a new home, you can reduce closing costs by $700, that's a great thing.
It is.
So hopefully if you're thinking about pulling the trigger on this, but this might help you out, you can get in that new home with some fewer dollars than before we have the special. So that starts November 1st. We're the only locally owned bank in Fulton County. We don't want to be the biggest bank, just the best. Borrowers must meet underwriting guidelines. We're FDIC insured and equal housing lender, and our MLS number is 399927.
And that makes us legal.
We welcome Jenny Shaw today.
Hello, thank you so much for letting me be on today.
Jenny's a great employee of First Federal Savings Bank. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at the bank before
Thank
we
you.
get into your...
I've been at the bank almost 25 years, and during that time I've been a teller, I've worked in escrow, and right now the longest job I've had there is underwriting.
It's great. So talking about those purchase loans, you see
Absolutely.
those and you'll help people get into their homes.
I will, yes,
Well, thank you for all you've done at the bank. It's a great job. But you have another passion
I do,
called Hope for Hurting Hearts.
yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Hope for Hurting Hearts is and how and why you got this started and how many years have you been doing Hope for Hurting Hearts?
Thank you. This will be our 3rd annual retreat, and Hope for Hurting Hearts came about because in this January will be 5 years since I lost my husband. And, you know, the first year is absolutely the hardest, and I was looking for something where I could go, where I could get some wisdom, some help for what I needed. And yes, I was in counseling, but I know I needed a little bit more. And everything that I looked for was definitely out of state, and I couldn't find anything that was Christian based. So I decided there was a need in this community for something like that. So when I felt that I was strong enough, I came up with Hope for Hurting Hearts. It is a one-day retreat where you can come in, you can hear speakers, you will have a small group discussion with other people who have lost a loved one. The first year that one of the speakers, she said it so eloquently. She said, "Welcome to the club you never wanted to join, and now you speak a whole other language." And that is so true. People who have not walked this journey yet, they don't quite understand what you are going through. And while they will say things that they are intending to help you, a lot of times they will end up hurting you unintentionally. And when you are with other people who are going through that loss, you just understand each other so much more. And you can say things that will help, you can share experiences, and it's just nice to be with other people who are going through that same thing with you. So small group discussion, having some speakers in, we do some grief exercises, and it's just a really great day to help people get through the worst time of their life.
We appreciate you taking the initiative to do something like this because until you go through the grief, it's really hard for somebody to understand that hasn't gone through this.
It really is, and like I said, people will come up and they'll say, well, at least the person's not suffering anymore, at least you know they're in a better place, and those things are always intended with the deepest intent to help. And that's not necessarily maybe what you want to hear at that time or need to hear at that time. What you just need is somebody to sit and hold your hand, understand that you've lost your loved one, you miss your loved one, and not only are you grieving that, but you're grieving everything that could have been. If you lost a husband, you're grieving maybe what you had planned for retirement. If you've lost a child, maybe you were grieving grandchildren, seeing them get married, seeing them go to prom. If you've lost a brother or sister, you are grieving somebody who can recollect everything you pulled off on your parents when you were younger. You know, and nobody else gets those connections with you. If you lost a grandparent, maybe they are the ones who babysat you all day while your parents worked. And every loss, the worst loss that anybody ever goes through is the loss you're going through right now. And again, it's just nice to have somebody to sit there, share an experience with. And that's what I'm told every time that people come to Grief Retreat. The part that they enjoy the most is the small group discussion. Because we can just sit in a circle, everybody can say what they want to say, and no fear of judgment.
So your retreat is happening at Parkside Community Church in Argus.
Yes.
That's at 225 South Michigan Street. It's on Saturday, November 13th at 8:30
Yes.
a.m.
At 8:30 you can come in, you can register. There will be a small little snack, some granola bars, some yogurt, and then everything starts at 9.
And doing a little reading about this, grief is a process. It's something that just doesn't happen and you get over. It's a long-term thing, and this is a great retreat to kind of help through that process.
It is. Not everybody can take the time to do counseling. Maybe they don't have insurance. You know, counseling takes a while. Maybe, and there's something else I also do on the side that's completely unrelated to my own retreat, but it's called Griefshare. It's something that's offered only through churches, but that's a 13-week program. So that might be too much of a commitment for you at this time. Maybe you're still grieving too much that you don't feel like you can get out 13 weeks in a row. Maybe you have commitments and you have to work, you know, and you can't come to the set time for 13 weeks. You have children and activities. If you lost a parent, maybe you're still taking care of the other parent that's living. So this is just a one-day retreat that, you know, you can make time for just hopefully one day. We try to keep the cost very low, just enough to cover your lunch and supplies.
It's $25 is the cost.
It is $25. Registration and RSVP is due a week from today. just so we know we have sufficient supplies and lunch for everybody.
So you talked a little bit about what happens that morning. So 8:30 people come in, they register, then what happens the rest of the day?
We do start out, it is a Christian grief retreat. We do start out with praise and worship. Then we will have an icebreaker, everybody kind of gets to know each other. We have Todd Wilson coming in to speak first. He is the chaplain for Kindred Hospice here in town. So he is very knowledgeable on helping people deal with grief because unfortunately with hospice, that is what you're looking at always. So he is very knowledgeable in that. Then I am going to get up and have you do a grief exercise. And these are exercises that I have done myself that have helped me get through my grief. And of course we will have a break in between, we have lunch. Our next speaker in the afternoon is Wanda Carter. She is the pastor here at the local Church of Hope Community that meets out there across from Dick's in that building. And I'm sorry, I don't remember now if it's the Optimists or the Lions who have it now, but it's
The ice cream building.
the ice cream building, yes.
I do believe.
Yeah, thank you.
And she will be coming in and speaking in the afternoon. And in both sessions, both in the morning and in the afternoon, we have set a good 45 minutes each time for small group discussion.
What's great about this is you're bringing in experts
Yes.
so that you can get some great grief counseling opportunities. for
Yes,
people.
because Wanda, she is a pastor. You know, pastors usually get training in counseling, but she's lost her husband. She has lost her daughter. So everybody that I bring in has had an experience in that so that they can help others.
So that's November 13th, 8:30 a.m. in Argus at the Parkside Community Church, and RSVP registrations are due by.
Due by next Friday, the 5th.
It's a great thing you're doing here.
Thank you.
So, why is it important to get assistance with grief? You talked about it a little bit personally. I don't want to put you on the spot about personal situations.
That's
but
okay. I don't mind sharing personally because, unfortunately, you know, a lot of people still feel there's such a stigma about getting any kind of mental help. And there shouldn't be. It's the same as getting help for a broken arm or having your appendix removed. There is no stigma in going to a counselor or getting on medication, but some people feel that there is. So maybe they won't feel as stigmatized if they come to a one-day retreat. They can just say, oh, it's a retreat. You know, and if you know somebody who really needs help but they don't want to admit that to themselves, my suggestion would be offer to come with them. Say,
That's a
hey,
great idea.
there's this retreat. Why don't we go together? And even if maybe you haven't lost somebody, but you want to be that type of person, maybe you're starting a ministry in a church or you're thinking of starting some type of ministry in the community, and you just want to come and learn a little bit more about grief. I think this would be a great opportunity to come and sit and listen and learn that.
That's a great suggestion because we all know people that are going through grief or have gone through grief ourselves at some point in time, and we always want to do what we can to try to help that person.
Yes.
But it's very awkward sometimes not knowing the most appropriate thing to say.
Yes.
So just loving on the person, caring for the person, and maybe helping them out, and you'll find this, the Hope for Hurting Hearts grief retreat might be a good thing to help out.
Yes, I think it would be good for anybody. I mean, it's good for anybody who's lost. And actually, somebody came through on my Facebook and asked if they could just come because they're going through a divorce that they didn't want. I would never turn anybody away for any reason that they are grieving whatever that loss may be. Because I think that anybody who comes and shares and opens up and listens to the speakers for any type of grief would. I mean, it's mainly made for the people who have lost somebody they love. But if you need help, come. We are a loving atmosphere and we want to help people. My goal is if I can save one person one day of grief, then I've accomplished what I've set out to do.
Well, thank you, Jenny. We're talking with Jenny Shaw about Hope for Hurting Hearts, or grief counseling retreat on November 13th at 8:30 in Argus at the Parkside Community Church. If
Yes.
somebody has questions in the meantime, I know there's a Facebook page.
There is a Facebook page. It's Hope for Hurting Hearts. Please reach out. You could also reach me my cell phone for if you have a pen and pencil, 574-780-6777. First Federal has been very generous to let me use my work phone for this also, which is local 223-1791. That was also the phone number that was put up on the marquee a couple of weeks ago because it's kind of funny, they don't have enough sevens for my phone number.
So if you have any questions, you're thinking about this, don't hesitate to reach out to Jenny Shaw. This is a great thing you're doing, 3rd year in a row now. Right?
Yes, this is our 3rd one.
Well, congratulations, and
Thank
hope you have a
you.
great turnout and trying to just help people with handling their grief. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you, and again, thank you so much for letting me be on the radio today.
Any final thoughts?
I really hope that people will come, that they won't feel that there's any kind of stigma, and even, if you're on the brink of come or not, please come. You know, if you decide that it's not for you during the day, you can always sneak out.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you so
Hope
much.
you had a great turnout for
Thank
your,
you.
for
Thank
your
you so
event.
much, Todd.
Halloween candy trivia, Paul.
Yes.
According to CandyIndustry.com, what's the most popular Halloween candy in Indiana? A. Starburst, B. Reese's Cups, C. Sour Patch Kids, D. Skittles. I saw you kind of looking over here a second ago. You weren't trying
Oh, no, I was looking for it.
Okay, good.
I had a pot up that I didn't want up, so I was trying to
Okay.
get down.
Starburst, Reese's Cups, Sour Patch Kids, or Skittles? What do you think?
I don't know, so I'm gonna go with my favorite, which is Starburst.
We're all throwing our hands up here. The people on the radio can't see this. They're like, how did you know that? Because it kind of surprised, I think, Jenny, Tanner, and myself that was it. Because I think the last few years it's been Reese's Cups.
Yeah?
And I think it made a change in the polls this year. So.
Okay, well, my wife would prefer the Reese's Cups, but I'm a Starburst guy, so I just went with what I like.
So what are you giving out for candy this weekend?
We're giving, here a little bit of everything, and then of course, the family's gonna go try to get as much candy as they can get. I'm gonna steal the Starburst.
Okay. Well, be warned out there, so if you see Paul coming, guard your
For
Starburst.
my kids, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna steal it from anybody else, just my kids.
Okay. I didn't mean to be a skip. That's not
It's
what
that
I
dad
intended,
tax.
yeah. So, we'll close with words of wisdom. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. That's from Arthur Ashe, American tennis player. Kind of good words of wisdom today, concerning talking about the grief sessions, and
Yes,
start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can.
and those are great words of wisdom. We'll see you again next week.
Yes, thank you, Paul.
Thank you.